Hello everybody and welcome to this new episode of this LUMION course in where we are gonna talk about the material. This is a very important issue, so this episode will last a little bit longer. Anyway, first of all, we are gonna make the most of our new knowledge and we are gonna place all the nature in another layer. So, I will select any of these trees, I will go here to the advanced options and I will say select all objects in the same category. Then I will go here to layer and I will say that I want to put all of these elements in layer 2. Here we are. Now I have to go here to layers and say that I want to hide this layer 2. Well, now I have our pavilion just super clean to work with our materials. So we will find materials here. This is the second option in this menu. We had content library and then we have material. I will click on it, and once I have clicked on it, then I navigate around my model. Look that when I go with the mouse along different materials, and I'm talking about my imported model, not talking about native LUMION geometry, then we will find two colors. We can find yellow one and we can find the green one. The yellow one means that some operations have been done in LUMION Material Editor. On the other hand, the green one means that have been done no operations in LUMION yet with this material. So let's start working and let's start with the green one material. For example, this stone. So I will click on it and then it will appear this material library menu. We will find here different tabs and this one is the one which is pressed already, new. Here we will find this imported material already pressed as well. So when we are using an imported material, and this case will happen a lot of time, because although materials in LUMION are very good, there will be many cases in which we will find even better materials outside LUMION. I mean, for example, on the internet or in our own libraries or many places. So if we are using an imported materials and we want to edit it, then we will have to go here to this button, standard. Let's click on it and you will find here the typical window for editing a material in LUMION. You will see that this menu is very similar in any cases. So here we find a thumbnail about our material. Right now there is nothing because it works only with native LUMION materials. Then here there are three guides. This first one is about the diffuse color map, which means just the texture of the material that we normally see at the screen. But technically its name is diffuse map, or even in some pages it is called albedo map. Here we find the normal map. It is named as well as bump map. This map is used for creating the impression that the material has some kind of relief. But it is just an impression. It is made by blacks and whites colors. And then we find here the displacement map. It is called as well the height map. This map is used for modifying the geometry and give to some parts of that geometry different height. Actually, in LUMION, this map is not really modifying the geometry, but it will give us that impression and it will increase the quality of the render if we use it properly. Then we find here different buttons for copying a material, pasting the material, save material to custom materials, load the material, and save material. We will learn to use these options a little bit later when we are finished to create our own material. So let's go to these sliders. First one, it is called colorization. Look how it works. If I move the slider a little bit to the right side, then this color, the white one, will be applied to my material. Look my stone a little bit closer, and look that if I increase the slide bar, then that white color, it is placing like a veil on the top of the material, and then it will be more and more white. If I want to change this color, I will click here. I can change from RGB to RAL, and here I will choose, for example, this red color. I will decrease the slide bar, and let's go to gloss. Here we are talking about the brightness of the material. If we want to become that material like coated or uncoated. If we go more than 1.0, then the material will become coated, you will see. And if I go under 1.0, then the material we can say that it is uncoated. There will not be bright at all. So let's go again to 1.0. You have to take into account that when we are editing a material, and I mean a standard material, here in this option, standard, all the values here of the slide bars are gonna start at 1.0. This is like neutral values. So we have to adjust these values, these characteristics of the materials, to our stone, to our metal, to our wood, whatever. So here, this stone is clear that it has not that brightness. So we should go with a value under 1.0 here at gloss. Let's say 0.4, for example. Next bar is called reflectivity. Here we are talking about how much the material reflects the light. So again, if we are talking about a glass or a mirror or a metal, then this value will be super high and we should go to almost the maximum. But if we are talking about a stone, then the value of reflectivity would be around 1.0 or even less. Of course, all the materials, all of them reflect light. More or less, but all of them reflects light. Then we find what is called here relief. This slider is completely related with the BAM map or the normal map. I mean this thumb here. So if we right now look at here carefully, we will see that we have already a normal map installed. And we can check here that root. If we wanted to remove that normal map, we should click twice at this button. I will do it, and then we don't have normal map anymore. Look that if we want to create a normal map from nothing, we can do it easily just clicking on here, create normal map from color map. This means that LUMION is gonna create for us a normal map using the diffuse color map as reference. So we should click here, create normal map, then a normal map is being created, and if we go then to the relief slider, we will see that here we have this option, flip normal map direction, in order to flip that relief. For example, if I go closer, you can see here that if I flip the normal map direction and I can increase this slider to have a better view. So here, for example, let's say that we want these streets to work as carved on the stone, so I will click here the normal map for flipping it in that direction. Then I have to adjust the relief. The maximum is not always for sure the best option. So let's leave it at 1.0, and of course all of these values will have to be checked afterward when we start rendering images. At that moment we will collect a lot of information for adjust these values in a better way. This is our first approximation. Anyway, I was saying that we have an option for creating a normal map from LUMION. Here we can remove it again and we can create it again super easy. But if we have our own normal map, because to be honest the normal map created in LUMION is not very good, we can click on here, choose normal map, and then look for our file and choose our normal map. Of course you have all of these files attached with the course. You can see now that the level of detail with this normal map is much more better. Now I will adjust a little bit the slide bar, because I think that with this normal map it is too much 1.0. It is needed to be lower, let's say 0.6 for example, or even less, 0.4. And before jumping to the next option, map scale, this is a good moment for choosing our displacement map too. So I will click on here and I will choose my displacement map. Here it is. I will say open, and look that when I install this displacement map, then it appears a new slider called displacement. We can't create a displacement map in LUMION. We have to take it from outside. Always I'm talking right now about imported materials, not about native materials. But if we are talking about imported materials, and here we can increase the value of the displacement. As you can see, the geometry is being modifying, or at least it seems that it's been modifying. In this case, we are talking about a flat stone, so it is not interesting for us to increase the height of this stone. So if I were you, I would put this value just at 0 or 0.1. Anyway, like it happened before with the transformation panel, we can adjust these values more precisely if we keep pressed Shift while we move the slide bar. And now yes, let's jump to this map scale bar. Here we will be able to modify the scale of our texture. but to be honest, in this case at 0.0 is perfectly correct. Let's click now How More and unfold these options, and here we will find more tabs: Position, Orientation, Transparency, Settings, Weathering, and Foliage. First of all, here in Position we will be able to move our textures in the different axes. The problem right now is that this texture is not a native texture, it is an imported texture, so this option is not working. It occurs the same with the orientation. If we go to Transparency, we will find two options: Waxiness and Transparency. This first value is saying us how much light is able to absorb the material, and this one is saying to us the level of transparency, so mostly this second one can be very useful. Here in Settings we will find this slider Emissive, which can be very useful if we want that material to emit light, to become a point of light. If I increase this value, you can see it clearly. With this saturation level, we will change the saturation of the color of this material. This specular value, according to my experience, is not very useful, and this flicker reduction we will use just in case that we have two surfaces occupying the same space. So through this bar we will reduce the flicker. Finally, we have these three buttons: Color Map Alpha Mask Reflectivity, Color Map Alpha Eclipse Object, and Color Map Alpha Mask Emissiveness. I would say that these options are advanced options for editing materials. We will be able to create or to install more maps than the diffuse, the bump, and the displacement map. I think that this is not the time for these advanced options, so first of all we have to control and master all the rest. But if you are really interested in it, I invite you to investigate in different tutorials. Let's jump now to this weathering option. Look that here, through this slider, we will be able to adjust the weathering and create the impression that time goes by through the material. I suggest you strongly that you use this bar just with little values. For example, from 0.1 to 0.4 maximum. Look that here 0.4 is too much, so I would put here just 0.1. Of course, if we are editing right now a stone, then here we will have to choose a stone, not wood, not leather. Eventually here you will be able to control the softness of the edges. Look for example how it's changing the edge when I increase this value. It becomes more softer or it becomes more sharp. So in this case I will put it at 0.0. Finally, we have this last option, Foliage. We will be able to control the spread. We will be able as well to control the size of the leaves, bigger or smaller, the leaf type, the spread pattern offset, and finally the ground level. In this case we don't want to use the foliage, so I will put the spread at 0.0, and when finally I have finished to edit my material, I have to go here and save the changes. Look that now the material is in yellow, not in green anymore, which meant that we have already modified the material in the LUMION's editor. Once we have created our own materials with our own presets, maybe we want to save it or copy or whatever. So we should go here again, and now it's the time for checking these options. I'm copying right now this stone with all these presets, and then I will click here, Save Changes, and for this example I will go here to this swimming pool, and I will click on this material, and I will say Paste, and then all the characteristics, all the presets have been pasted here on the swimming pool. Actually, I am lying, because not all of them have been pasted. In fact, we have an error. The reason is that here, our diffuse map hasn't been pasted. So, we are gonna say that we don't want to save the changes, and we are gonna start again. Let's click here, and if we check our diffuse color map, we have here a warning. It is said Save Material and Save Material Set will not include textures that were assigned to models outside Lumion. This means that our model is coming with this texture, with this stone from SketchUp. And then we will not be able to use these operations. Unless, of course, that here we choose our color map from outside. Then I will click on it, and here I will choose my diffuse map. Once it is already installed, I will not have any problem to copy the material, say OK, go again to my swimming pool and say here Paste Material. Then as you can see, here we have this stone. Actually we don't want this stone for the swimming pool, so I will not save the changes. In case that we want to not to copy the material but to save this material for a future use, I will click here and then I will write down a name. For example, Stone Barcelona Pavilion. I'll click OK, and now I will be able to find this material here in custom materials. So I will say OK, save changes, and if I want to use it, for example again with the swimming pool, I will click on the swimming pool, I will go to my custom materials, and I will say here that I want to use this stone. Again, this is just an example and I don't want this stone for the swimming pool, of course, so I will say that I don't want to save changes. Going again to these options, here we will be able as well to save this material in our computer. We will be able to create a file outside Lumion. For example, let's call it stone, let's say save it, and then we can load it here whenever we want from our own file. Once we have seen how to use an imported material, let's explore a little bit the library of Lumion's material. So here, for example, if we would like to change this water, I would click on here and we could check that here we are using this material called water. If I go here, if I go back, we will see that this material, it is placed inside this tab, new, where we can find other simple materials, like it is billboard, like it is color, like it is glass, and so on. If I wanted to choose another kind of water, I should go to various, and here we will find materials related with the nature: 2D grass, 3D grass, rocks, soil, water, woodland, leaves, aged, and fur. If we go to the next tab, indoor, here we will find fabric, glass, leather, metal, plaster, plastics, stone, tiles, wood, and curtains. For example, if we go inside stone, here we find 3 pages and some materials with the letter D. This D means that this material uses displacement mapping. If we click twice, here the material has been applied. We can check that here we have the diffuse map, the normal map, and the displacement map, and all the sliders and options that we have already learned. If we go back and we jump to outdoors, here we will find bricks, concrete, glass, metal, plaster, roofing, stone, wood again, but different ones, asphalt, and no more. Next tab we find is custom materials. We have checked this one already. Here we can find the Stone Barcelona Pavilion we have just created. And the last tab is new, and we have already talked about it. So this is the general view about the material library. Right now we need a water, so we should go to various and here to water. Once here we will find 20 types of water: azure pool, black water, blue lake, blue ocean, clear lake, and so on. Imagine that we agree to choose blue lake. If I click twice, we will find here different options for changing this water, and when we are happy with the result, we should click on here Save Changes. We will find this water applied to any material with the same name in SketchUp. Look that here we have this material applied on the 2 swimming pools. So it is very important that before coming to Lumion, you worked your model in SketchUp and you applied there different materials or even colors just for distinguish all of them very easy here in Lumion. In any case, you have to know that our SketchUp file is linked with our Lumion file. So if we need to change something in our SketchUp file, we can do it, and then when we save it and we reload here in Lumion our file, those changes will appear. We will learn how to do that in a specific exercise for applying materials in all the pavilion. So we will finish this class here. I hope you like it and you practice everything, and I will see you in the next episode.